All right, hey everybody, welcome to Inside Tabletop. I'm back with Alexei from BeastGM Miniatures, and this is our part 2 of our discussion about the 3D printing world of BeastGM Miniatures and this interesting transition between the digital space, where Alexei's been using Patron, and the 3D printing world to basically deliver miniatures directly to his community, and the plan that they have for their Kickstarter, where they are making this transition into the real space where people that aren't part of the 3D printing community can buy miniatures. So, hi Alexei.
Hey Ash, thanks for having me here for another meeting. And hey guys, I'll be really happy to talk about our product and our pipelines and all those goodies that will come with our physical release into the market.
Yeah. So my first question is why? Why into the physical market? Because this was the reason I wanted to have you on. This is the first kind of really big move into this that I've seen, where someone has one of these sort of really well respected and beautifully curated collections of STLs in this Patron world that's decided we've kind of hit the logical limit of this. We really want to make this available to everybody. So what was kind of the motivating factor, before we get into the nuts and bolts of what you're making? What was the motivating factor for you to want to do this? Why was this decision that you guys felt was important for you?
Yes, so it's as you mentioned, we kind of we're feeling that this is not the limit of the digital subscription stuff, but we have enough community, we have enough I would say enough confidence now that our product can become a physical one. So we're confident that now our customers who have not experience with 3D printing, so they will get those minis on the table and they will enjoy them. And
was it a question that you got a lot? Was there people that were asking when will these be available? When will these be available?
Actually, yeah. So some people were asking, can we buy those minis somewhere? We don't have the 3D printers. And yeah, this was first what actually put me to this path. So we started to research the options, how we can manufacture those minis on a wider scale, and how to make sure that the product quality actually corresponds with our products on the market from the similar physical range, like resin minis or plastic minis. So yeah, obviously, there are ups and downs with the resin, for 3D printing, but I feel we're in a very good spot right now to launch those collections physically.
And what's interesting is you come from that world. So if you go back to our original video, you came from the world of making physical models prior to this, and then had your doors blown off and this world of possibility opened up through 3D printing. And now you're kind of moving back to oh, can't I do both?
Exactly. Yeah. So this is a logical transition, because we have the luxury. I mean, I personally as a company, yeah, so it's as my brand, I have a luxury to move from the digital world into physical, while vice versa is kind of hard to transfer, because digital pipelines, they're different, with the miniatures for 3D printing, if speaking about technical side a little bit, so those are kind of easier to produce at the first step of the production and share them with the community and 3D printing community. But when you come into physical miniatures, the way how the figurines are manufactured, it implies a lot of technical requirements, how it is supposed to be done. Especially when we're speaking about plastic minis,
Yes.
This is the stuff. This is what my heart hurts the most. You need to make poses like that. Everything is
we used to call them Gary Morley Blood Bowl poses, where every Blood Bowl miniature was doing this or doing this. They're all 2D flat casts. Well, that's something that these are challenges that people don't understand about miniature casting, is that the medium that you're casting in, whether it's a silicone mold, whether it's a hard rubber mold, or whether it's a steel mold, limit and kind of constrain how your miniatures look, because you can't do certain things. Because a steel mold, if you have an undercut, will just tear the miniature apart as it opens and you take the miniature out. And even a soft silicone mold, if you're not careful, small details can just get pulled off through the contraction of the mold as you take the miniature out of it. So what are some of the challenges that you've faced basically with finding a partner, with redesigning or retooling the models? Like, what are some of the things you've encountered so far going backwards now through this process?
What's good about this is that I have kind of vast experience in designing minis for like all sorts of media, and for me wasn't that big of a challenge to teach my team how to balance the model in the way so the details are large enough and the parts are thick enough, and like how we are building those shapes so they are well manufacturable. And plus, again, is I feel like as our advantage with printing on demand. Yes, what we do is we don't have to do that many cutting as it would be with traditional molding, and plus the speed of production is totally different. Is
Right.
like, look, now we are 40 years on the market and our catalog is like 600 models more. That's crazy much.
That's so many miniatures. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm even like having troubles like putting it all together in the collections that would be like reasonable to propose to the physical audience. So it's
They're huge collections. Yeah. They're full armies. What I think is amazing is a lot of them are full armies and there's no duplicates. Like there's no duplication. Like that I think is crazy, because you're talking about a range where if you buy the collection, it's all different miniatures. That's not a typical thing especially in physical production.
Yeah, that's true. And the poses and the details we use there is very hard to come by with traditional ways of casting the models, even with resin ones, because resin molds, like rubber molds, silicone molds, so they have their lifespan. Like you have only a certain number of casts you can do from it, and then you need to rework it and again and again. It's super tough. So. But here, like on the opposite side of things, so we have the manufacturing facility, actually manufacturing powers that can produce the figurine as it is, even in one piece.
Mm-hmm.
But we still try to cut models, like to have the logical cuts in the places, let's say, that will allow for a more comfortable painting, or the parts that could be like easier broken during the transportation. So like we have all those pipelines thought of, and actually the first collection we're releasing, Tormentor Cults, it didn't need to do, like we haven't need to do like a lot of tweaks in there. Like maybe some of the smaller parts will have to be like thickened here and there, but like really major super minor touches. Like basically the figurines you have on your table, they're almost as they were released back then. So
there's like a super like I would imagine you probably had to slightly thicken like the knee spikes here, or maybe the blood drops on the backpack here on the this is the snatcher. So like I think that's it, but it's not noticeable. Like they don't look overly thick. They don't have that cartoonish thickness that like metal miniatures will sometimes have. And it's not obtrusive basically if you did do any of that in this model. I didn't notice, and I've seen this miniature before painted on your website, so it was definitely nothing that stuck out to me if that's the case.
It's like the miniature art is very interesting. Like when I moved into it from the video games, I found out so many things on how to play with shapes in the matter that the figurine that small can still look impressive and be expressive, because it's all about the work and play of shadow and light. The figurines should have enough shadow pockets so the light basically picks the forms, and our eye will interpret them as a like juicy volume. That's what I like to say. It's like they have to be like juicy, not flat when you don't see like what's in there, but even grayscale. If it's not working in grayscale, for me this is a fail. So
it won't work in color. That's really interesting, because that is something that's easy to lose in traditional casting too, because the depth of detail becomes really important in traditional casting, because the material can shrink and contract and expand slightly. So you need to have slightly more textured miniatures and more like heavy cut sometimes to retain that after the casting process is done. So can you tell us a little bit about anything else you discovered, like material wise? How did you settle on a material? What was some of the other challenges that you had?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like our biggest challenge was to make sure those minis are actually fitting the purpose for what we're building them, because it's not only painting, it's gaming as well. So
Right.
like the strong part, let's say, of those like plastic minis we see from the steel molds, they are very rigid. Yes,
Yep.
details are not as cool, like yeah, poses are not that dynamic, but they're very durable, and I understand why, because like tabletop boxes, they're designed for super wide audience, and those companies, they cannot allow themselves like to have, I don't know, like one little figurine to be broken in the box, then it has to be replaced. Our case is a little different. It's like those minis we do, they are more like art piece. I
Right.
wanna use
Display
this
pieces.
word. Yeah. So, and they are also good for gaming. So like I constantly try to find this balance, like in between design and functionality. So now I'm very proud to see that actually the resin printing industry like made a huge leap since when we started like 4 years ago, and now is a very different product. Like first of all, the resolution of the screens pop up pretty seriously. So from like 1080, like now we have like 12K machines.
Yeah. 12K machines
Then
are insane. You're
yeah,
printing real life basically at that point.
absolutely. Then the screens themselves became mono, so which was a absolutely great improvement, because like yeah, we don't need like RGB to have the layers baked. So it's only black and white.
Hmm.
And the largest step forward are the resins themselves. Like now when I'm watching like those new resins that come on the market, we can really bend the models, they come back to the shape, they became way more rigid. Like even our like delicate details are all preserved, and the figurine is like yeah, it's not indestructible. I don't want to say that this is like same stuff as you see in tabletop games, like those super thick minis. Sure, you can break
Yeah.
it, that's
Yeah.
normal, but it's
Well,
like
but you're not breaking it, bumping into it. It's not brittle. Like
yeah.
what I will say is like on the Snatcher in particular, I can wiggle the legs coming out of his
Mhm.
backpack and they don't just snap off. My older 3D prints, if I just brushed up against them too much, they would just immediately snap off. So like
Yeah,
there is definitely a quality improvement in the resin on these prints that you can see versus like older 3D models. And I think that's important for people who
Mhm.
come from a traditional sort of like tabletop model background to understand, is because they might have a reservation about getting 3D printed miniatures, you know what I mean, even if they're being done at the
absolutely.
production scale from like more modern printers. And hearing that was something that was like the number one point of concern when you guys started sourcing, how are we going to do this, how do we maintain the quality of what we make, and also
Yeah,
do it in a way where what the end result is that the customers get is more like what they're expecting, right, and not something
exactly.
that's like alien to them, because that is potentially a like hurdle for people who want to get the physical miniatures but haven't interacted with maybe newer stuff from the 3D printing world. And it's cool that that was on your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Since like last year when I've been on Adepticon and I was exposing our miniatures, uh, it's like people were approaching the table and like looking, oh my god, like what's this? They're like it's 3D printed, and guys weren't just like they weren't believing me that this is a 3D
Yeah.
printed model. And hell yeah, like future is here. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this
Absolutely.
now. This is a new way to manufacture them, and but we have to be very careful here, since when the 3D printing is done at home with personal materials, let's say like we have access to a lot of different resins, and not all of them they offer like this kind of flexibility to the model, like the
Right.
rigidity of details. So some of the customers who print stuff at home, right, like they may use like a little cheaper printer or undercure the model or like overcure it, whatever can happen. So the quality may be different, and that's why like our goal was to find a manufacturer who actually has serious knowledge in this domain. And like we have now the dungeon artifacts,
Hmm.
so they have like 100+ machines in their facility that are like constantly printing and printing, like they're using the special like the special mix of resins that you cannot like buy it in a shop. Like to
It's not
produce
commercial,
the
it's
figures.
proprietary. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
their
yeah,
own
yeah.
proprietary level resin.
So that was actually what hooked me, because I ordered most of my minis, what I have on the shelves, like larger scale, like to smaller scale minis
Right.
from them, like to test first, and I really enjoyed the quality. So now I can trust them with our production.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, I think that's important. Like for me to
mm,
hear as a potential customer of yours, right, is that that you guys are risking your reputation a little bit on this, because when you deliver a crowdfund, you don't want a box of broken pieces to show up, right? So you had to
no,
make
no.
sure that the miniatures were going to be of a certain quality, so that when they arrive the way that they're supposed to. And so what's the learning then? Obviously, the big things that kind of popped out to me when I opened this box was that the sub-assembly of certain bigger models was like a big deal. Like the Snatcher in particular, his arms, his backpack, and his base were all separate pieces.
Yeah.
And obviously we've talked about the quality of the resin too. Is there anything else, any other learning that you wanted to apply to this to make sure that if you're making that transition between like digital at home, buyer beware, you're going to print it yourself, you're going to get the quality of whatever you print it with, to we are now taking on the responsibility of manufacturing. This is really important to us because this is also our reputation. What other things did you learn from this process that you think are going to be important? Is there anything about packaging? Because like I noticed these were very well packed. They were packed in almost like a shredded like paper.
Yeah.
Like it was as packed as you would get if you were shipping something very like a family heirloom to somebody in another country. Like you guys did a good job packing it all. Is there anything else like that you guys had to go through a process where you were like trying to figure out, how do I get like if this is my reputation, how do I get this right to make sure everybody's happy?
Yeah, I mean, like now packaging is on the standard level, I would say. We are still working on how to make like the branded boxes, like and like even cooler stuff. But it will be like on a second wave. Like the first and the most important thing for me was to make sure we have the quality that can that we can trust, and the customers could trust us as well, because this is the only shop official that is actually where our minis can be bought. Like there are no
Right.
other like Etsy shops or whatever. So we closed.
Yeah, you don't
like, this
license it
commercial
out
license.
basically to people printing. Yeah.
We had it before, but I decided to close the licensing, like to make sure we can control the quality. Like it was hard, but we made through it, and now we have this manufacturing partner, and eventually, like it starts to bring fruits back. So and
Yeah.
I'm happy with what we have. So
I mean, that's
yeah,
brave though. That's the thing where if you're basically deciding to consciously limit the money that you're making, because you could just sell licenses willy-nilly and people could print stuff, and that's basically free money, that's royalty money. But if you're
yes,
deciding I'm not going to do that because I'm more concerned that the thing that I'm passionate about making gets to people the right way, that's a big deal, right? And then obsessively trying to pick a partner so that they can deliver that the way that you want it to be delivered, that's a pretty big commitment, because that's you guys basically gambling and betting on yourselves. Is that important to you? Is that something that you think like that's a key kind of like sort of tenet of your business, that you guys want to make sure that you're obsessed with quality?
I can say, yeah, like this is type of like how my head is wired. Is like if I do something, like yeah, and now as a creative director of the company, is like I deal with my team, and we are all like in the same mood. Like we want to make sure this thing works cool, and we are proud of the product. And me and me especially is like, for me this is this is my face there. Like this is my passion,
Yeah.
and that's not the first project actually which was approached with such passion. Because previously I was working with Zilot Miniatures, and we released with them like also a beautiful Kickstarter with Minotaurs. Like it was like traditionally casted, and also like from what I understood, the community really enjoyed those models. And yes, like I know if you do stuff with love and passion, people will appreciate it, because this
Mm-hmm.
is like how I would like to have the products that are shared with me from our people to be the same. I like to watch quality movies. I like to play quality games. I like to eat quality food. And why I should not do quality menus for someone to enjoy in their evenings?
That's funny. That holds you to, I mean, you're holding yourself to a high standard there, but I tend to agree, because you only get one chance at making something, especially if you're like, it's your creative expression. So you definitely want it to be, you don't want yourself to not feel satisfied with the result and the feedback that you're getting. And obviously things are going to go wrong. Like someone's going to get a broken miniature. It's going to happen at some point. Like nothing's perfect ever, but hearing that you're willing to basically limit down and do it yourself instead of letting other people do it for you, I think that's pretty on brand for what I've seen Bestiary be, which is like, no, we have our community, we make what we make it a very specific way, we make it for grown-ups, we make this dark fantasy stuff. It's not a knockoff version of somebody else's game pieces, it's just for us. That's it. It feels like you're following that thread all the way to the end. So what are some of the other things then, as we kind of wrap this up, that you're obsessed about making the way? Because in the last video, you hinted at the idea that you guys want to make an actual like tabletop war game out of this, but that you're willing to like not rush to do that. Like you want to do it right so that it's evocative. Can you tell us any more about that? Like if this goes well, what might the future hold for these collections of miniatures? What other ways can people get them on the table?
Yeah, so this concept of the game, like it cooks in my head like for a while already. So I even like built some small prototypes like to test things out. But look, the 3D printing, this is a new industry. This is the new production stuff. This is a new way to get models on the table, and I really enjoy it. And I would like kind of to link this thing to a game, because the game we would develop, it will support our monthly collections that we release. So
I love that idea, where you get something new for your game like every month that's like directly delivered to you. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so it will be very like it will be interesting to implement, because like how I see it, this subscription system is a very strong tool that allows us as creators to kind of get the support financial, because like all those things they cost, like I cannot make it from the air. So based on this, like we can expand the universe and add new mechanics, like add new regions, add new features and tools to the game basically constantly, and this will be an evolving organism. I'm not really sure yet how it will look in the end, but my concept is like this. So the game will be built from a different mechanics, like different blocks that actually would allow different groups of players to enjoy this universe in their own way. It's like those who are more like into solo experience, let's say like a group, small party, like to go and investigate some dungeons, like to fight like a monster or whatever. They will have their tool set in there. Like others who would like be more into base building and kind of like maybe a little tower defense stuff just in the
episodic. And that format can make it like an episode of TV that you're watching, and every month you get to like explore a new episode. It's funny because that does really drive through that thread of like your obsession with quality, because that means that the core game needs to be very robust so that you can kind of endlessly add to it and have it be modular, so that you have this like this very stable sort of core engine that you can then infinitely bolt your creativity on top of and then provide that cool experience for people.
Absolutely. And because of the stable community we have around us, this is a kind of like we're doing a constant play test. So we're getting feedback from the community immediately. If something is not working, like something that they would like to see more or less, and we can tweak the system. And this will be, in my opinion, is like a very strong product in the end, if we manage to put things right.
But and a new type of product. That it'll almost be like the miniature wargaming version of like the Xbox Game Pass or the PS4 Network Pass, right? Where like you have this kind of like core thing that you're subscribed to, and it has its and the console is the game system, and the new content is kind of being added to it every single month. That's a very cool idea, because there isn't really anything like that in the industry right now for tabletop wargaming or even RPGs. And that's a neat way of visualizing that. And that, again, that feels very on brand for you, where you're like, I'm just going to do this different from how everybody else is going to do different, and try and make it something new.
Yeah. That's the way. Because like, look, now we have the system actually built for D&D. We name it Path of Penitence, actually, where the heroes, they are sentenced to 500 years prison, like death sentence. Yeah. So, and they are working for Penitent Crusade, actually, like one of the guys like who we have on the wall. And to get rid of your sentence, you have to go on those suicidal missions, like what they are sending you to. So like in my dream game, like it will be maybe an app where you're getting like your monthly assignment, like, hey, penitent, you now have to.
And then
go
the collection
there.
of
Like,
everything you need to like play that out on the table. I love that idea. That's fantastic. It's a bit Left 4 Dead or Dark Tide, where you get to create your own little group of 4 heroes or whatever, and either it's with friends or it's you, and then you go out and you have these like cool adventures.
yeah, because I feel it's important also to provide a solo experience. So
Sure.
Because we not always have the pleasure like to meet with the friends all on one table. So like this game is supposed to provide you with this and solo and co-op experience. And ideally, if we move forward and we have enough resources, it will be kind of like more also a section with wargaming and skirmish, where like larger forces can clash together.
It can scale. It scales up. Yeah. And your collections form together into being these bigger things.
Yeah, because world is living around us, right? So somewhere like there are like larger conflicts, like other guys are just like, I don't know, crafting something, and someone else goes to adventures and experience new things. So yeah.
And again, that makes that on-ramp wider for you guys too, where your community has all different varied tastes, and there's more things for more people, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is a big thing to explore. But we'll see. We'll take it step by step, because we'll get the Penitent
Crusade. You get the next Kickstarter with the Penitent Crusade out next, and then we'll see where it goes. Yeah. Well, I'm so excited for you, man. I think this is really cool. It's cool to see the element of the industry that you represent in my head, which is this sort of like innovative in the 3D like modeling space, in this like 3D printer space. Diversifying and kind of growing and expanding and like breaking down these borders, because I hate when people kind of get into camps inside this industry and they're like, no, I'm a 3D printer. I only 3D print my miniatures. I only play 3D printing games. And it's like, yeah, but don't you want more people to play with? Like, don't you want to have this be a broader market? Don't you have more things in common with, people that you could then enjoy your hobby more with? So seeing you guys do this is really exciting. I'm excited for you, and I hope that this goes well, because I would love to be able to walk into a shop and be able to just go pick up my Penitent Crusade minis. And I would also love to be able to subscribe and print off my adventures someday, that I get to go play and have like an episodic experience, because I love good games, I love good TV, I love good books and good movies, and it sounds like you're kind of like-minded and are trying to create a product that hits all those same things.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We will do our best here, like in our caves and dungeons and bestiarium, like to craft the best experience we can.
Fantastic.
That's the passion.
Yeah. Is to make the thing that makes you feel fulfilled by making it. All right.
Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching, everybody. You can go check out the Bestiary Miniatures Kickstarter. It should be live right now and still running. And of course, just check out their Patreon, because they have tons of cool stuff already up if you are in the 3D printing market and you like dark fantasy stuff. And like Alexei said, there's lots of games that are supported in there. Forbidden Psalm, D&D. They're just really cool collections of miniatures, and I'm excited to paint mine. So thanks a lot. Thanks for coming on, Alexei.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me. Massive pleasure talking with you. Fantastic time. And yeah, cheers community. See you on board.
Bye everybody. Hey everyone, thanks for watching another Inside Tabletop. If you want to check out the crowdfund for the physical media versions of the Tormentor Cults, it is, as of the air date of this, I think like at 550 so odd backers. Well, and it's like crushing its goals. And you can check it out linked below. Have a great day.